Hello everyone, welcome to the CollingsThodeNetwork for our daily live stream. Today we're going to be looking at some of the best hitting teams. I didn't actually know how to properly say it, but either way we'll figure it out when we hop into the intro of our upcoming video, as we got a lot of fun to be had today, so make sure you stick around for a plenty good time. Just preparing my last minute statistics here, as I might have been wrong in the last video. I said Drew Anderson. I got him mixed up with Drew Rasmussen. Big difference there. Drew Anderson, pitcher on the Tigers. He's actually been out of the MLB since 2021. Fun fact. So no surprises that yeah, he wasn't fantasy relevant last year. So that's on me. I will own that one as we hop into this here, as on today's episode of What Am I Doing Live, we're going to be going through baseball yet again, as we haven't had so much live sports going on other than the Olympics, which after I go live here, I'll be making my Olympic tracker short. So without further ado, here we go, as I'll get comfy in my chair. As today we are going to be looking over the top 5 best offenses in the MLB for the 2026 season. It should be pretty fun. Of course, I did this through statistics. This is not my opinion. I went on FanGraphs projected stats. I looked at both Zips and Streamer, and I accumulated the top 3 batters for every single team, jotted down their WAR, added it up, and that's the number you're seeing here. As this is our example team, the Arizona Diamondbacks. They finished 6th in my ranking with a 4.9 WAR for Corbin Carroll, a 4.1 WAR for Ketel Marte, and a 4.1 WAR for Geraldo Perdomo. Now, I don't think that math doesn't add up. I might have made an error on that one. Either that or oh yeah, no, that's the math I used. So that was Zips. Then on Streamer, it is Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, and Geraldo Perdomo with a 4.5, a 4.5, and a 3.9. I used that one. I actually don't think that's higher, but either or, they're going to be 6th place regardless of which way you slice it, as I do know for these top 5 ones that it's good to go. So without further ado, after talking about the Arizona Diamondbacks, we'll get into our 5th team. And coming in at 5th place is the New York Yankees. Yeah, the Yankees next year finishing just in 5th, which, hey, I don't think that's that bad if we're being honest with each other, with a 14 flat. Now, on Zips, if I'm not mistaken, yes, this is on Zips, we have Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, and Trent Grisham. This is a 7.6 WAR, a 3.4 WAR, and a 3 WAR. Now, looking around the league at the top 5 WAR leaders, depends on how you slice it, as I'll just pull that up now just to let you know. So the top 5 hitters in WAR in the MLB is 1, projected WAR I should say, is 1, Aaron Judge, 2, Shohei Ohtani, 3, Cal Raleigh, 4, Bobby Witt Jr., and then 5, Juan Soto. And that's with a 7.6, a 6.9, a 6.7, a 6.1, and a 6. Now, if we hop over to Streamer and look at what Streamer's figures are for the WAR leaders, we have a different top 5, being Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt Jr., Cal Raleigh, Gunnar Henderson, 4th best. Now, of course, this is taking into account defense, but still, Gunnar Henderson, wow. And then Julio Rodriguez just went full just read it instead of reading the name. Julio Rodriguez at a 5.7. So Streamers has it be a bit lower, but for some of these teams, the Streamer stats are higher. So either way, for every single team, I just picked the higher number, trying to be fair to every single team. So if one team had a higher Streamer and one team had a higher Zips, that's what I'm comparing today. And so that's what we're seeing from the New York Yankees. Of course, no surprises when you've got Aaron Judge, but it is a little bit carried by the one guy, I won't lie, as Trent Grisham being your number 3 guy. Of course, on Streamer, it's going to be Jazz Chisholm. No, actually, Jazz Chisholm's their number 2 on Streamer. Austin Wells is number 3, but whichever way you slice it, New York finishes 5th. It's a good offense, but their pitching, as we went over in the last video, if you haven't watched that, go down to the CollingsThodeNetwork, hit subscribe, and you won't miss any one of these uploads, as New York did not make it in the top 5 for pitching. Not a surprise, as as that's the wrong team there. As looking at the spreadsheet from yesterday, the New York Yankees had 11.4 wins above replacement projected for next year with pitching, which, yeah, didn't make it into the top 5, didn't even make it into the top 6. As I was going through those top 5 players, you probably noticed Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar Henderson. How in the world is he all the way up there? And your guess is as good as mine, but that will make the Baltimore Orioles our 4th best team in projected WAR. Of course, led by Gunnar Henderson, but, you know, they acquired a couple guys that I genuinely think were A-plus roster moves. I mean, they got Pete Alonso, they got the Polar Bear, so no surprises that, you know, he's going to help bump this up. And a lot of these projection sites have Adley Rutschman having a huge comeback season, which, who knows? Who knows at this point? But yeah, so this is on Zips. We have Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, and Pete Alonso with a 5.7, 4.7, and a 4.1. On Streamer, it goes Henderson, Rutschman, Jordan Westberg. Whichever way you slice it, this team is kind of scary. When you look at their bats, they also have Jackson Holliday and Colton Krauser, which are 2 young guys that are trying to make their way into being a star, potentially. This could be a breakout year for either one of those 2 guys. But that's the thing with this Baltimore team. If it's going to be them in the top 4, in the top 5 for wins above replacement for their offense, their young guys have to step up. And hey, I love the Pete Alonso signing, so no surprises that, well, these guys, the Orioles, are in the top 4. As moving on to our top 3 teams, in 3rd place, we have Seattle. As, wow, this is just, what a roster. What a roster that Seattle's been putting together. And it's funny, they had a bunch of controversy with their general manager going out to a Rotary club and basically saying that we are going to abuse the time system for player signing, and they got a lot of hot water for that, and that was a bad time for Seattle sports. That same season, they went on to beat the Blue Jays in the playoffs. So maybe it's not so bad, but either way, miserable franchise has a lot to be excited about it, as Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, and Josh Naylor, depends who you ask, is their top 3. That is, of course, according to Zips. On Streamer, it goes Raleigh, Rodriguez, and then Donovan. Whichever way you slice it, that big 2 of Raleigh and Rodriguez, both being over 5.4, is what is carrying this number. I mean, carrying it. And while they might not have the offense that some of these other teams do top to bottom, I really like what they got going on here. As their top 5, their top 9 is well, I'll say top 6, as Randy Arozarena, J.P. Crawford, Josh Naylor, Brendan Donovan, and then J-Rod and Kyle Raleigh is just, like, that's fantastic. And then, of course, like most other teams, their bottom 3 guys struggle a little bit, but I see this as a team where we could see them battling it out for just the best team in baseball next year. I really could, and it's going to be fully dependent on if they have those early season woes, which we've seen them have in the past. But regardless, Seattle fans, plenty to be excited about, as if you didn't tune in for the pitching episode, Seattle was tied for first with a 16 projected WAR. They are far and away probably the best team for combined WAR, as it's either going to be them or it's going to be these next 2 teams. Definitely not going to be the number 2 team, as the number 2 team is the New York Mets. The pitching WAR didn't like them, but the batting WAR absolutely adores this team. And yeah, it's not really a surprise. If you look at their top 3 guys, especially who they signed, our very own Bo Bichette from the Toronto Blue Jays, then yeah, no surprises here, as according to, looking at this one, is Zips, we have Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, and Bo Bichette with a 6, 5.7, and a 4.1. They also have a very deep lineup with Marcus Semien, Francisco Alvarez, and even if Brett Batty comes through for them, they picked up Luis Robert. I really like this Mets batting lineup. Of course, it is the Mets. So, looking at Streamer, it's the same 3. It's Soto, Lindor, Bichette. Should be a very, very excellent big 3 there. And if Semien can have the season he had last year, then this should be a great offense. Of course, it was the pitching is where they suffered last time, only having a 10.7 projected pitching WAR, which yeah, that's not going to cut it when you compare to some of these other teams. That 10 WAR put them right in the middle of the pack. And if you did watch the pitching episode, of course, yesterday, then you would think to yourself, well, there's a couple teams that are really good at pitching that, well, we're just not seeing, such as, well, Detroit. And yeah, Detroit had an under 10 WAR here. They have a 9.9. A team like Boston, just a 10.7. The Phillies, a 10.3. These are teams with huge margins. And then the last one is Toronto, which a 13.6 pitching WAR, a 12.2 batting WAR. Other than Seattle, that might be the most like consistent across the board. But, well, I guess there's the number one team. But before we get into that, I'm sure you're wondering to yourself, who are the worst teams? And you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, Chicago has to be the worst team. And you'd be right. The White Sox are in last with a 6.9. Yikes. For players that are going to play every day, 6.9 WAR. The next worst ones are Miami, the Los Angeles Angels, and the Colorado Rockies with a 7.2, 7.2, and a 7.9. As heading into our top team going into next season, you could probably guess it. You probably know it. And their fans will, well, they'll definitely let you know it, as it is the Dodgers. Yep. The reason we're going to have a lockout in 2027. The reason why baseball is about to implement a salary cap. The reason why the league is not in a good spot. These guys. Round of applause to you, Dodgers. You just couldn't stop eating. You couldn't get your hand out of the cookie jar, and now you're fat. Now you're big and fat and greedy. Really hate that. Really hate this team. 16.3, which is quite a bit better than the Mets. And hey, I'm not a fan of the Mets either. I like their offense. I like this Dodgers offense. How would I not? I'd be kind of an idiot if I didn't like this Dodgers offense, as they were able to get anyone they wanted. And when they sell prospects, it's for anyone they want to trade for. I don't get it. I don't get it. As looking at their top three, it's going to be Shohei Ohtani, Kyle Tucker, Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is the one that really annoys me. Boston got no one out of that trade. Cool. So funny. That's not even mentioning a guy like Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, and then Pages or Pache, Max Muncy. Like, these are all guys that are very good. You could go down at the 7, 8, and 9 best guys, and they're all better than the best guys on Colorado. You go down, Teoscar Hernandez is projected the 10th most WAR. Of course, this is taking into account defense, not just hitting, but still. That's ridiculous to me. That one team can have this much stuff. Now, of course, looking over at Streamer instead of Zips, it is still Ohtani, Betts, and Kyle Tucker. This is what greed gets you, folks. Good things, apparently. Oh, that's the moral of the story. Greed is good if you can afford it. I hope they lose every game next year. Yeah, I'm salty. I'll be real about it. And if I wasn't salty about the World Series loss for the Blue Jays, I was salty at Dodger fans being the worst fan base in the league. If there's any team that doesn't deserve this, it's the Dodgers. So good for you guys. I will be preying on your downfall. I hope nothing good comes to Los Angeles Dodgers, and I hope that they finish in the bottom 5 for actual batting WAR, because not a big fan of greed. To counter myself, I'm a fan of the Blue Jays. We're a rich team. We spend a lot of money, and yet we're not going to be giving Kyle Tucker $60+ million a year. That's ridiculous. The money in baseball is too high, and congratulations, Dodgers. You get to reap the reward. And it's no surprises. Looking at these 5 top teams, 3 of them are in the American League East. That's crazy. Or no, just two are in the East with Baltimore and the Yankees, and then we have these guys in the American League West to deal with as well. So it's no surprises though when you look through the cities: Los Angeles, New York. Good for you, Seattle. Good for you, Baltimore, and then New York. Baseball has a big market problem, and it is pretty evident within its projected batting WAR. So that's going to do it for the top 5. If you think your team is criminally underrated, you let me know in the comments. If you completely disagree with this, also let me know. Sound off in the comments below, and I'll reply to any of them, and pretty much any of them. I'm down for I'm down for a discussion. So thank you everyone for tuning in this time, and well,